without a crystal ball. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, we have got some serious, like unserious, like kind of snarky stuff that we need to talk about because it's Janelle. Okay, you guys have been like dealing with some seriously heavy stuff, and I just wanted to come on here and like let's talk about Janelle Evans and what's going on Twitter because it's kind of a mess. So here's what's going on. A couple weeks ago, almost two, Janelle comes out on her Facebook page and she basically says that she and David are done. She claims that there is this incident that happens at her house, that as a result of this incident, she has left with her kids, that everyone is safe, that everyone is fine, and that her relationship is over. Okay? And we are sort of all like in the media, kind of like, well, what's going on, Janelle? Did you leave? Did you not leave? Like, what happens? And she does this like interview, right, with this outlet, Celebrity Nation or something like that, Celebra Nation. And she basically tells them that she was with her friends and they were going to her house to retrieve some things that she had left David. And during a dust up with some friends, David got a little bit frisky with one of her friends, which then resulted in him getting in trouble. And the altercation was because apparently her friends were trying to help her get some things out of the house so that she could take it out and go with the kids. She then says she's safe, she's fine. And it's Janelle that actually makes the announcement publicly about David and the incident before anyone even finds out any information from officials. Okay? Like nobody had even reported this. She actually made this known and made this report, put this out, said, I don't agree with this. I don't think he should have had this. There shouldn't have been bond. Like, I don't understand why they let him go. This is awful. I'm done. And so within days of her claiming she was done, she was safe, she was fine, everything's good, she then is back. She's back with David, okay? So she now has been seen at the park. She's also been seen on TikTok and on David's Instagram. She's back at the house. The kids are back at the house. She and David are back together. During this time, one of her friends, Joshua Galloway, has been on Twitter sort of talking about things about what happened that night. He claims that it was his partner that was outed by TMZ, who was the person that David got frisky with, okay? And he claims that he makes a statement that says, hey, just so everyone knows, me and my partner are safe. And it was this statement by him saying that he and his partner were safe that apparently got Janelle mad and said that she was done with her friends. So Janelle goes back to David, and then Josh is like, I'm done with her. And then Janelle calls Josh a like entertainment buddy as though he's nothing more than someone that she can hang with on and have some drinks with and not like a real friend. And he starts calling her out on Twitter, and then they go tit for tat. And the noticeable thing that changes here that I think is odd is that she starts going off and starts tweeting about these sort of conspiracies. So there's a lot of conspiracies that happen on Twitter, and just because something's out there doesn't mean it's true. And she's been promoting these like stories like Pizzagate and such that are like long, they're debunked. They're not real. Didn't happen. And it's all because like people are starting to bring this up because of stuff that happened with Justin Bieber and other people speaking out about different things, right? And so they're saying, well, Justin Bieber is getting in trouble because he's trying to, expose this whole thing, which is not real, okay? So Janelle starts getting some pushback on Twitter about the fact that she's been promoting these crazy conspiracies and that, she needs to start fact checking. And she's literally like, no, I am fact checking. I swear. Like, why isn't anyone talking about this? So she talks about like DC blackout, and then she's talking about Pizzagate, and she's talking about all these things that we know are not true, but people who are into that kind of stuff believe is true. And who would actually believe that stuff but David? So people start pointing out to Janelle on Twitter that she is getting these thoughts from David. And when she starts talking yesterday morning about one of these topics, I actually made a comment to her and I was just like, this isn't true. Could you please provide your sources? To which she like retweets me and says something, I don't even remember what it was. And then I just responded in a comment and she said, well, I do really care about kids. That's why I'm paying attention to these things. And we need to talk about this. So she thinks there's this alleged scandal that involves kids, right? I don't want to talk about what it is because YouTube hates this kind of stuff. But I make a comment underneath one of her threads that, Janelle didn't really talk about this at all while she was with David. While she was not with David. Like, Janelle was always sort of like her own, she didn't care about these sort of crazy conspiracies. She didn't care about these weird political things. She didn't talk like this. And, we've seen with Janelle that she has this way of sort of like morphing into whatever her boyfriends are with. So when she was Nathan, she was like really into working out. When she was with Kiefer, she was really into being a loser. It's just whoever the guy she's with, she takes on what they are. And David really is into this stuff. He buys into it hook, line, and sinker. He posts this kind of stuff on his Instagram and on his Facebook, and he's very much of that mindset. And people start to say to her, okay, so you are concerned about kids, but then you are back with David, right? You're not concerned about your own kids, but you're back with David. Now, I don't think you can really drag her for this because she's in a cycle, you guys. Like, as much as I don't agree with the things that she puts out there or whatever, she's in this cycle with David, and she's going to have to get to a place where she's ready to be done with him. But it is kind of hypocritical if she's going to worry about stuff related to kids, but then she literally walks back into a situation with her husband after she makes this very humongous claim on Facebook that things are really bad there and that she's safe and that she's getting her kids out of that situation. But then she's putting her kids right back in that situation with only a few dates. And then you've got her friends basically coming out and saying, like, they're done with her. They can't believe she would do this again. And these were friends that were basically, like, she cut off when she got with David. And she also makes this tweet later on about how she doesn't have friends and she doesn't do that on purpose. Now, this statement on its own is just really concerning because if she doesn't have friends and if he's the factor that causes her not to have friends, that's another way in which she's stuck and she's isolated and he's controlling. And this is the part of this that's so frustrating, is because when I even just try to respond to her, she like blocks me, which fine. If she doesn't want to see my face, I don't care. Who cares? And then she calls me names, which whatever, I don't care. It's deflection at this point. But anytime someone tries to point out to her that something is up, or that maybe she shouldn't be doing this, or maybe she shouldn't be hanging out with him, or maybe that David is the factor here that's causing her to say these things and promote these weird ideas, and to, on one breath say she's leaving and on the next breath she's back, and then when her friends try to speak out to protect themselves, as well as maybe say, hey, Janelle, we're worried about you, then she blames them. This is just weird, you guys. Like, I can't imagine, like, what kind of mindset you have to be in a situation where you're leaving one day and the next day you're back, and then you're yelling at your friends and blocking people that are trying to talk sense into you. And I worry because the further and further and further we're getting into this relationship, it's just like the further and further and further you're losing this girl. And you don't have to like Janelle. You don't have to agree with Janelle. I mean, she's not on Teen Mom anymore. She's been fired because of David, but she's literally losing everything. She's lost her job. She can't get sponsorships. Basically, everything she does right now is it falls flat because she has David. David is like this dynamite that blows everything up around her. And I wonder, like, would she be in the same position with not? Like, how do you I just don't understand how you go from I'm done to back with the kids, making these very public statements saying that you were scared, it wasn't a safe situation, you had to get the kids out, and now you're back and it's your friends that are wrong and it's not your husband. I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. I saw that I actually ended up getting tweeted into, my tweets make it into articles, which was not the point of me tweeting her. And this is not my point in actually even bringing this up. It's just like anyone trying to even talk sense into her gets blocked. And I wasn't being rude by any means. So I really do worry. And I think we should be worried. And I think everyone should be worried about the situation that she's in and about the place that she's with, because I can't see that this is a good place for the kids. I spoke out against her when she went back the last time, which is why she's mad at me, which I get it. Like, I released, our conversations that we had. But at the same time, like, my concern hasn't changed. She told me all the way back in the fall that she was what he was capable of and who he was, and it's escalating and it's just getting worse, and she's getting more like isolated, and this isn't good for her. She's on a property with like 11 acres where she doesn't have friends, where her friends don't want to interact with her, and then it's always the friend's fault, or it's the blogger's fault, or it's MTV's fault. Anyone that speaks out and tries to help her, she accuses of being bad or a psychopath, is what she called me. And I'm not here to be a psychopath. I honestly have just been covering her story for a long time, and I just want her to wake up, and I think everyone should want her to wake up. But I wonder, like, how powerless her friends must feel in this. You know what I mean? Like, how is it that they feel like they can't even speak their own truth, and she's automatically accusing them of, like, using her? MTV, like, what has that done to her brain? Like, what did that do to her mind? I don't get it. But I want to know, like, are you surprised she's back with David? Are you not surprised she's back with David? What do you think about, like, her blocking everyone that tries to help her? What do you think about, like, her putting her kids back in a situation where she had just left a couple weeks ago and now she's back? Is this good for her? Is it bad for her? Are we worrying about nothing? Is there nothing to see here? Or should people be concerned? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Bye, guys.